Juicy plums, sir.
Holidays can be murder on turkeys. Let's make this one for the birds.
Everyone, welcome to another Fowl Original, me Fowl Original, on location. There we go, I've done it, there we go, I've done it, I figured it out. On location here in London, main London, drinking coffee. Ah, delicious. Now, I couldn't help but not come on here once I read the news on the Twitters. Joaquin Phoenix, Joker pictures. Oh, what a bloody Joker that Joaquin is. If I can just get my phone, I can actually check out the chat. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, I don't have that. Wait, no. There is still time. I can still figure this out. So, as I said, this is an unscheduled, well, not unscheduled, because I meant to. This is a differently scheduled. Apparently, my bit rate is too high for Periscope. That's too good for Periscope. So let's see if it is actually going out on Periscope or if it is absolutely. I got a warning. I always get warnings of Periscope. So so let's just see. I should be going live. Let's see if it's even making it there. It's an unscheduled, not unscheduled. This is differently scheduled. It's working, so I don't care. It'll be a better version on YouTube then anyway. So, and it's out on Twitch. So hello to all of you watching. What the? Oh, hello to everyone watching on the Periscopes, watching on the Twitch, and watching on the YouTubes. This is Fowl Originals Newsround on location. Now, I thought I'd do an afternoon show because I won't get a chance to do the show later on because I will be running around like a crazy, trying to get stuff ready for later on tomorrow's shows, etc. But yeah. In the news today, Mr. Joaquin Phoenix. Some of you know that he was going to be playing the Joker in an upcoming standalone Joker film, which is going to be produced in tandem with the new Joker film starring Jared Leto, and of course with probably more animated movies than you could shake a walking stick at. I was going to say umbrella, but then I feel like I've been mixing my metaphors. Let's say umbrella. He's a villain. Bullet Club. Whoop, whoop. Anyway. Joaquin Phoenix in character. So I think today's show we're going to be pretty brisk, as quick as I can be. And so let's show you this news article, brand spanking new in the world of the internet. Now he's got a picture that he's put on Instagram. There are some first shots as well, and we've got a look at the origin, and it's on Just Jared, and we've got the standalone. Apologise, there are children screaming outside. I'm next to a window. Oh my God, they would now, wouldn't they? They would start screaming for their goddamn mothers, goddamn fathers, here in London town. Here in London town, yeah. Okay. I can literally see my mic level going up every time she cries. Anyway, let's move on. So, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Woman, give her a sandwich. Woman, give her an ice cream. So I'll first look at Joaquin Phoenix's Joker reveals his origin name. This is from CNET. Oh my God, CNET.com. Finally, we can compare Joaquin Phoenix's Joker with Jared Leto's and Heath. This is going to be my funnest ever video to listen back to and watch back to at any point. I'll be like, yeah, I got all the sound working, I got all the technology working, which was very complicated. And then a child started screaming. It's why I love kids so much. Never work with children and animals. Never work with an animal that's a bird like me. So this picture isn't. So finally we can compare, but the picture is not exactly what. On Sunday, Todd Phillips, director of the yet-to-be titled
Apple
Joker
debuted a
movie,
new Series
posted a
4
picture.
watch and a trio of iPhones. The updated smartwatch sports a new larger edge-to-edge display and a UI refresh, as well as a digital crown that now features haptic feedback. You can also detect dangerous falls and perform an electrocardiogram directly from your
Apologies, I was looping back there.
Apple's new iPhones include the iPhone XS, which has a 5.8-inch screen, and the new XS Max with a massive 6.5-inch one. They both use faster algorithms for better performance.
It's an ad from CNET. CNET, stop playing ads in my videos. You can't monetize
are also
them.
better.
Who do
Apple
you think you are? Wait, there we go, taking the audio off. Apologies. Just opened at cnet.com and it started playing ads at you. I apologize for that. If you wanna shill, then why don't you just go to this place, which is fowloriginal.com. If you go to fowloriginal.com, once this opens up, god damn it. If you go to fowloriginal.com, let's go back here. If you go to fowloriginal.com, which will be opening up momentarily, then you get this thing, which is my bird face. And then if you go to my bird face, you can go to support the channel. If you click support the channel, got to get my shills in there. Go to support the channel, then you can go buy my Patreon, which I will be fixing up this next weekend, which is literally the catchphrase of this show. I will not fall asleep, and I'll fix it up next weekend. You can click the donate button. If you click the donate button, it goes to a paypal.com login where you can, if you're already logged in, it's just PayPal's secure server, and you can go $5 if you wanted to, make it a monthly donation, and there will be some rewards coming forwards that I'm going to talk about soon, and then you can make a note in there, and that's how you help support the channel. That's my quick shilling out of the way, because if you want some shilling, cnet.com, then you might as well go to fowloriginal.com/support. Boom. Now, this is a picture from Todd Phillips of the Joker. So, I mean, as an origin story, and as kind of a Red Hood figure, I'm guessing what they're going for. And then I like it. It's quite understated. It makes him more human, but maybe in a way we're taking away a lot of the mystery, mystique, and intrigue brought in by the man, who are not really sure what he is, man. So let's continue to read down this article, and his name is Arthur. In the comic, there's no definitive backstory for Batman's greatest villain. This origin story is written by Phillips, who directed the Hangover trilogy, so that's where we know Todd Phillips from, with Scott Silver, a co-writer on 2010's The Fighter, which was a great film, and great performances in that film, absolutely. Bale was amazing, and so was Marky Mark. The story will be a character study as well as a cautionary tale of a man disregarded by society who becomes the ultimate supervillain, according to Deadline. Warner Brothers is working on another Joker movie starring Jared Leto, who took on the role for 2016's Suicide Squad. That film doesn't have a release date yet. The yet-to-be-titled Joker movie, starring Joaquin Phoenix, is set to crash into theaters October 4th, 2019. And then there's just like a little retrospective looking at the different actors who played the Joker over the years. And we haven't really got any pictures right now that show the Joker with, like, so here we got Heath Ledger as their, because, you know, this is just an excuse for every one of those websites to go, we got pictures, would you like to see some ads? I don't trust cnet.com now, though, because they've shown so many, and there's 14 slides here, which, I mean, there's going to get like 8 ads in there. So basically, this is what everyone is going to be comparing that performance to, and if it doesn't at least get there, now that seems like the natural progression of the performance, which is to make him more maniacal and to make him more angry and schizophrenic. But the problem with this version of the character is this is way before all of that, so it's going to be a more understated performance, and I guess that's why they went for the Joaquin Phoenix. But if you're starting to lay down specifics and lay down specific origins that are going to become canon within the DCEU, I think that it's a really, really schizophrenic approach to the DCEU. I'm going to be quite brief with a lot of these. A very schizophrenic approach to the DCEU, because within Marvel, there's one version of everything. The closest that we've got to any dual versions, which could then be explained later on with Skrulls, is possibly the War Machine, because technically speaking, there were 2 actors who played War Machine, and to another extent as well, Edward Norton's Hulk, and the new Hulk from Eric Bana. Both Hulks exist. These could be explained out as parallel universes if the Marvels got their rights on and got their writing minds on. But in the DCEU, the problem with the DCEU is that there are so many hands in this pie, and so many different fingers in the pie, so many different variations of fingers and length of finger as well, that no one really knows and has any kind of one vision. And I think that with Joaquin Phoenix, it's going to be a very interesting experiment, and I think it's going to be a very interesting experiment to see if audiences will be able to understand that this is and that's not being derogatory to the audience whatsoever, but if you go and see a film and there's a different person in that film than the last film that you saw, and you've missed a few, the DCEU doesn't lend itself very well to a progressive story which is being told. So with the new Into the Spider-Verse film that's starring Miles Morales, the Sony animated picture, that's fine. But you go to see animated picture and you're like, okay, this is different. But if it's live action and live action, then I think that's a very hard distinction to make. And the marketing is going to have to be very carefully thought out. And I wonder if this film will have any legs on it. This feels like the Logan of the DCEU, and it really, really could be. But I right now have mild expectations for what's going on. I've seen a few more pictures of him just standing in the street, and he does seem to have that air about him. But when you're exploring a character from before they become an iconic character that everybody knows, you have certain things that you can do, but there's also, like, how does this film work within the rest of the DCEU? If at the end of the film you pull like a kind of, oh well, it was all just another psychotic dream from the Joker, another version of his, and they kind of try and Rick and Morty it, where you have like a Rick and Morty backstory, which is like, oh, that wasn't real, then I don't think audiences are going to be happy walking out of a film that potentially 2.5 hours later they're told it was all just a dream, Bobby was in the shower. I don't know, maybe they will. Maybe the film will stand great enough on its own that it doesn't even matter. But then, let's give it some time. Let's give it some time. That was news story number 1. But obviously, we're here in the UK. So on this whistle-stop tour news round today, made in London, hashtag on location, we are also going to talk about this story, which is Marmite moving to the Netherlands causes unhappy UK customers. So just before I started the show, the reason why I was like, I'm going to do this now, number 1 is because obviously me and the 1 o'clock news, you know, we are institutions, and being able to have the day off, and I figured that I could do this news round now. This is an early version of news round, an afternoon version, and briefly speeding by, yep. We've got the Marmite story. So I was like, I remember thinking, I can't talk about Marmite. Who the hell's going to know about Marmite? Apparently, people do know about Marmite, and I was just being stupid. So Marmite is in the news today. I found a few different articles actually about it being a superfood and stuff. Now, this is from The Guardian. So let's whip over to The Guardian to get this story for you. So, plan to move Marmite firm's HQ out of the UK rejected by major shareholder. Aviva investors to vote against Unilever proposal to move to Seoul base in Rotterdam. It could be Liverpool or anywhere, sorry, or Rome, but Rotterdam is anywhere Unilever calls home. A major UK shareholder in Unilever is to vote against the FTSE 100 company's plan to scrap its dual Anglo-Dutch structure and is urging other investors to follow suit. The asset management arm of the insurer Aviva is opposing Unilever's plans to move to a sole headquarters in Rotterdam and incorporate in the Netherlands under a single holding company. The proposed move means it is almost certain that Unilever, which makes consumer goods ranging from Marmite to Dove soap, I mean, they do everything. If you look on the back of pretty much anything, you'll see a Unilever trademark, and they make everything. Like, when I found that out, like, there's a lot of chemical companies that make, there's a there are a few chemical companies that make a very broad range of products, from dog food to washing up liquid to bread, which makes consumer goods range from Marmite to Dove soap, will drop out of the FTSE 100 index, forcing UK tracker funds and those with strict UK investment mandates to sell their holdings, which, ooh, I mean, that's a really big company to be taken out of the FTSE 100. David Cumming, the chief investing officer for equities at Aviva Investors, said, "We are not supportive and we will vote against it. It doesn't add any value for us. We lose quite a large company from the index and we don't see any justification for the move. We would encourage other institutional shareholders to do the same as us." Cumming told BBC Radio 4's Today programme, "I think they will struggle. I don't see logically why any UK shareholder would support Unilever's decision to go Dutch, because there is no upside, but there is downside, and we lose an excellent company from the index." Aviva Investors owns a 1.4% stake in Unilever. For its proposals to pass, Unilever needs the backing of 75% of UK shareholders and 50% of Dutch investors in separate votes in Rotterdam on 25th of October and in London on the 26th of October. Unilever argues that simplifying the company will make it easier to sell and buy assets and improve governance. It says 55% of its shareholders are based in the Netherlands and the shares listed in Amsterdam are more liquid. I mean, I would have thought that the company would have gone up in smoke. The plans announced in March deal a big blow to UK's status as a financial centre, but Unilever insisted the proposals were not related to Brexit. Unilever's dual structure dates back nearly a century to its creation from the 1929 merger of British soap maker Lever Brothers and the Dutch company Margarine Unie. I don't know why I did that in a French accent. It'll be like Margarine Unie, which... massive story for the UK industry. I mean, they make up a massive amount of jobs, and yeah, just their inclusion in the FTSE 100, especially with the generic Brexit things that are happening, it's a really big blow. It's a really big blow. And if a company like Unilever are looking to step outside of the UK and move into the European common market, which right now doesn't include the UK, well, right now potentially may never include the UK, ever again. It's a very interesting move that doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well for the future of the UK research and development industry, of companies who have one foot in the UK and one foot out to say, you know what, we're taking our left foot out of this situation and shaking it all about, and they're just putting both feet directly into our headquarters within the UK, within Europe, which doesn't include the UK. So many companies are looking to move out of Brexit because people believe that by November there will be no chance for a deal to be created, and it will basically be like, I always liken it to this, it's like you give your notice at a job, or you give your notice at an accommodation that you live at. So it's like, you got 3 months. No. You've got 2 years to leave this place. And in 2 years, we're knocking the place down. But if you want, we're building a new place in the garden. Would you like us to help you build that place? Yeah, cool. Well, I'll talk to you soon. And then 18 months later, you're like, oh, actually, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, can we get involved now? Not really. Not really. Yeah, but we've got really good ideas. Yeah. And we're still knocking the place down. Okay, well, can I have like an extension? No. Bulldozers are already here. We're already building an Asda. Like, it's too late. And we're in the 18-month point now where it's a bit like everyone goes, uh-oh, it's real. Uh-oh, it's real. We've had a letter sent by the gas company, and they're saying, would you like to extend for another year? And you're like, oh, no, I can't, because I'll be leaving soon. Telephone companies are... It's a similar situation. The British House is being knocked down. The British extension. But there's some news that I've seen on the BBC News website as well, which is going to kind of expand on this, I guess. But love it or hate it, Marmite potentially may be moving to the Netherlands. And I just wanted to get that joke in. Hashtag hilarity. Yeah, interesting story. And I'm sure that I'll be reading some more about it. And there will be more going on with this. And this will be all over the news later on. But for something like Marmite, which is a British institution, it's just companies that, I mean, Costa, and we spoke about this briefly before, Costa now being owned by the Coca-Cola company, that was one of the last bastions of UK-ness. It's like, in my mind, if Greggs got bought by an outside investor, so if like Pret-a-Manger ended up owning Greggs, I'd die a little inside. I would. And I'd feel like my sausage rolls wouldn't be British enough for me from that point on. And I have to start making them myself. And that's not what we want to happen. Don't have to deal with sausage meat every morning. Unless I'm getting dinner first. On that note, let's move into our next segment, which is, as ever, and as always will be, In Other News. So in today's In Other News, I've been seeing some general stories, and I have a slight banquet for you. I mean, not banquet, a nouveau cuisine version of this for you. And the first story I wanted to talk about was this story, and I've only got a few because, as I said, I want to keep this a little bit a little bit shorter than I probably normally would, just so that I can get a bunch of other stuff done today. And as I've also said, as I'm on location, I'm trying to do a lot of things really, really fast, as well as be human normal. So we've got a few stories. So I'm just going to find oh, here we go. Now this is a big story. Realistically, under normal circumstances, I'd probably spend about 15-20 minutes talking about this, but here we go. So in other news today, let's transition, and there's a few stories which, okay, they're not necessarily funny as such, but they're news, god damn it. So in other news, teen quizzed over G-force moped YouTube stunt. The G-force pushed blood into Tyler's head, which caused him to pass out, his mum said. And look at his eyes. Oh my god. So, as a content creator, allegedly, myself, I would never do something this stupid. And I'm going to say it's stupid, because I don't care. It's stupid. The teenager has been quizzed by police after a stupid YouTube stunt in which a boy was spun at high speed on a park roundabout using the wheel of a moped. Whoa. Tyler Broom was left with horrific injuries similar to those inflicted by high levels of G-force, his mother said. She was told by doctors. The 11-year-old passed out and was abandoned by those involved. Absolutely disgusting, she said. Nottinghamshire police said a 16-year-old was interviewed under caution and a moped has been seized. The teenager was questioned about his involvement over what happened at Ashvale Park in Tuxford, Nottinghamshire on Wednesday. Dawn Hollingsworth released a video of son Tyler which shows him spread-eagled across the top of a roundabout as it spins around. At the end of the recording, Tyler appears to fall down, his head flopping towards as it comes to a stop. Tyler was left with facial bruising, but the consequences could have been far worse, doctors said. Blood rushed to his head, causing swelling and bruising to his face, she said. The 51-year-old said doctors told her Tyler's injuries were usually seen in fighter pilots suffering the effect of G-force. Chief Inspector Andy Rook said, "What may have seemed like a bit of fun at the time has turned into an incident where an 11-year-old has received horrific injuries. We hope that this incident and severity of the boy's injuries serve as a strong warning to anyone thinking about recreating something they have seen online." He said Tyler seemed to be recovering well under the circumstances and an investigation continues. Ms. Hollingsworth said Tyler was with a group of children who were attempting to recreate the stunt. She has warned others not to copy the silly prank which could have had life-changing consequences for Tyler. Mr. Rook added some of the people involved had become targets of trolls who have been sent abusive messages online. He said, "Messages, once reported, will be investigated, and those responsible will be dealt with robustly." Oh, he's going to knock him out, he is. He is going to knock him out. Now, this story in particular, why I keep saying, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is also stupid, and you are stupid, and you are stupid. You know why? Because that's stupid. Yeah. Number one, stupid. In the old days, Fowl's old man story. In the old days, if you were going to do something stupid, you wouldn't film it. Or maybe you would film it, but it wouldn't ever go anywhere. In today's stupidity, you do something that you've seen on the internet, then you want to recreate it so that you can show that you can do it and it's legitimate. But it's still stupid. Now, this was a very stupid prank. And I don't appreciate the term prank in use with creative content, because we had pranks when I was when I was a kid. There was a show called Jackass which was on TV, and Jackass has helped a whole generation of children, like a generation of YouTube content creators in the initial part, to go, well, I'm going to do this stuff. People that mail themselves across the country. These are fake. These are faked videos here that are made almost in a satirical way to show how easy it is to do something stupid. But you can't mail yourself over the UK. You can't mail yourself cross country. You will either die, or I remember there was a guy that was like, he said that he floated in a box all the way across there. He did not. And the more people that understand that, the better. And people like this in this situation that have injured themselves, I feel, where were the parents? Where was Ms. Hollingworth? And I mean, why did this kid do it? And also, where were they going to put this? Once it was filmed and they ran away, yeah, like what were they supposed to do? But it also goes to show that when it comes down to it, people just want to mess with you anyway. And they're like, oh, is this going to be on YouTube? The amount of times I hear someone tell me, is this going to be on YouTube? Not necessarily, but editorial over. But yeah, I wanted to read that story because it's stupid, yeah. And if you want to not be stupid, look at that segue. It's like professional segue, that is. If you want to, not a segue actually, they used a moped in that story. But if you would like to help support the channel and not be stupid, then go to fowloriginal.com. If you go to fowloriginal.com, you get to this website, my big bird face, which is when you know you're in the right place. And then you go to support the channel. When you click support the channel, you'll get a bunch of links that you can click on the Patreon, streamlabs.com/FowlOriginalWrestling, which is the other thing that I do, which we'll be talking about tomorrow tomorrow night, more in depth Birmingham Film Festival overview that I promise to do. And you can go to donate. Once you click donate on that donate button, that will take you through to PayPal. Get yourself onto PayPal. And then I apologize to anyone in the chat as well, because obviously we're on location ghetto style and I haven't managed to set everything up. But you could pop in something like, say, $5. You can make it a monthly donation if you want. That $5 cup of coffee, my friends, cup of coffee. And if you then make a monthly donation, I will shout you out, and I'm going to finding out some tiered rewards for you guys. And if you want to make it on the normal, just you could just say hello and let me know your stream name, where you saw me on, if it's on Twitch, if it's on Periscope, if it's on the YouTubes, and I will shout you out and I'll send you out a message on my Twitters and all my facial stuff, all my facial media, all my social media, and you will also have my undying gratitude, love, and you will have serenity in your soul more than you will ever know of it. Now, getting back to in other news. So with that quick commercial shill out of the way, in other news as well. Now this story, again, I would have expanded a little bit on further, but we will do these in a further upcoming, more traditional version of this in the coming days, a normal news round. But PM Theresa May, Brexit, PM says it's either my deal or no deal, because allegedly Theresa May is not just Prime Minister, but she is also attempting to, well, I'm guessing she's auditioning for Channel 4 light entertainment game shows as well. Theresa May has told the BBC that MPs will have a choice between her proposed deal with the EU or no deal at all, which is the scariest thing that could happen in this whole Brexit goddamn rigmarole. She was also critical of a plan by Brexiteers to resolve the Irish border issue, saying it would create a hard border 20 kilometres inside Ireland. I mean, if there aren't already enough borders within Ireland. Ex-Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, ex-Foreign Secretary, potential new Prime Minister Boris Johnson, said attempts to resolve this issue so far were a constitutional abomination. I mean, he is just, like, let me just quickly, I'm going to brief editorial this, yeah, very brief, but oh my God, Boris Johnson's campaign to become Prime Minister has been one of the most amazing, like, grassroots, so, like, sneaky. He's the kind of guy that would become Prime Minister, and no one would even realize that it had happened. No one would understand. They'd be like, but how did he become Prime? Did we turn around one day and now there's actual general election? Or will it be the Theresa May style way, where there's just a leadership challenge within the party, which is already there, and it's like, I am going to be Prime Minister next. I'm going to fix everything. But would Boris Johnson, if he became Prime Minister, would he be like, well, we've left, so, you know, I've left them a tip. Oh. If he became Prime Minister as well, we would have dueling President and Prime Minister. That special relationship would be like looking in a mirror, me and my mirror. Anyway, back to another news. Ex-Foreign Secretary, Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg, that guy, his children were shouted at the other day. I feel a bit bad. Said the Prime Minister should try a little bit harder to get a better deal. The UK is set to leave the EU on the 29th of March 2019, and negotiations are still taking place. Mrs May set out a proposal for the key issue of cross-border trade after a Chequers summit in July, but it's been fiercely criticised by some Brexiteers who say plans for a common rule book on goods would compromise the UK's sovereignty. In other Brexit news, a BBC commissioned survey indicates more people across the UK think the impact of Brexit will be negative. Adoy! The Leave Means Leave campaign launched an advertising campaign calling for Chequers' plans to be dropped. Well, they're delusional. The International Monetary Fund has warned that a no-deal Brexit would entail substantial costs for the UK. Adoy! Chancellor Philip Hammond said the government had to listen to the IMS clear warnings. Also, Adoy, like, those are just general life things, like when you cross the street, look both ways. When you leave a common trade agreement, you know, make sure that you don't burn that bridge on the way out. Make sure that you gently close the door and leave it ajar, not slam it closed on the way out. Speaking to Panorama, Mrs. May said that, oh, so they got a Panorama special tonight. Whoop, whoop. Speaking to Panorama, Mrs. May said that if Parliament does not ratify the Chequers plans, I think that the alternative to that will be having no deal, which is the worst thing that could happen. BBC The Political editor Laura Kusenberg said Theresa May calculated that faced with a binary choice of the Chequers deal or no deal, whoa, we live in a non-binary world now, would not have the chutzpah. Oh my God, Theresa May, don't you try it. You're not Jeremy Corbyn. You can't get away with saying chutzpah. Chutzpah to say no way, and Remainers would decide that carrying on fighting the plan would be too risky. Why are you telling people this, Theresa May? You can't play with the UK. You can't play with the UK government. That's like the UK people. You can't play with the peeps. But the risks are that the PM cannot say for certain what the final deal would look like, and some Brexiteers were already determined not to vote for it, she added. Mr. Johnson's column in Monday's Daily Telegraph renewed his attack on the Chequers proposal and the government's plan for avoiding new border checks on the Northern Irish border. And Downing, he criticised the UK's decision to agree with the EU on the need for a backstop to avoid a hard border, irrespective of a trade deal, saying the issue was being used to coerce the UK into becoming a vassal state of Brussels. Oh, Downing Street responded by saying Mr. Johnson had been part of the government that signed up to the backstop plan. And just quickly going through, because a lot of this will be on Panorama, which is a sit-down interview about the Chequers plan. Last week, a group of Brexiteer Tory MPs said a hard border could be avoided by using established technology and modifying existing arrangements. Oh, well, like remaining part of the normal common European market. Oh, well, that wouldn't make any sense, would it? Mr. Johnson refers to suggestions by the European Research Group in his column, saying that extra checks done away from the border, because this is the free movement of people. There were stories last week where they were talking about making sure that you had up to 6 months left on your UK passport, because the passports will be changing soon, where you won't be able to get a European. I'm going to make sure I get my European passport before it all runs out. Jeez. But Mrs. May insisted that any system of checks was still a hard border, because right now you can walk into France without having it. I loved the fact that I could turn up in Netherlands or European countries and I'd have my passport around, but I'd be like, no one would ask for it. The People's Vote campaign, meanwhile, claimed a fresh wave of 18-year-olds becoming eligible to vote was transforming the dynamics of the Brexit debate, because they mostly back staying in the EU, and that's something. And this is a BBC Panorama interview tonight, Inside Number 10, Deal or No Deal, tonight at 8:30, and it's part of an in-depth coverage across the BBC to mark what happened to Brexit. To mark the run-up to Brexit, which is Brexit 6 months to go. So this is going to be a news story which will be all over the BBC, and in-depth analysis is going to be happening with people that are much more learned than I. But the Brexit campaign right now in the next 6 months is what I feel, and I've said this in editorial form before, is I feel that is this 6 months to Brexit is actually a 6 months to Boris Johnson officially and formally making a leadership challenge, because it's really ironic, and I mean, I want to quickly liken this to the Klingon. I want to liken the Conservative Party to the Klingon hierarchical structure. Within the Klingon hierarchical, I never thought that I'd be comparing these two, but within the Klingon hierarchical structure, when you want the job of the person above you, you kill them. Yeah, you literally kill them. Now, we haven't really seen any political maneuverings like what has been going on between the members of the Conservative Party for the past few years. I mean, David Cameron says, you know, Brexit, mate, I don't want Brexit. If you vote against Brexit, I'll leave. No, if you vote for Brexit, I'll leave. That's fine, yeah. Let's have the referendum. You know, he puts it all on the line, and a bunch of people in the Conservative Party go, well, this is the chance, this is the chance. And they push him out, and then you get Theresa May. So Theresa May kills David Cameron, and without using well, a figure of speech which potentially may have more to it than I'm going to say, but she made sure that she put his head on a platter for everyone to see, and the boar's head, if you understand, is the rarest meat across the land. And yeah, I mean, it was very interesting that the pig story came out just about the same time that Brexit was on the cards, and everyone was gunning for him. And then when Theresa May got into power, where there was no actual general election as such for her, it was a leadership challenge, and the referendum meant that there was shuffling within the party. So no one really voted for her as such. Very, very similar way to the way that Donald Trump got into power. I've never seen politics from that point of view before. So then they killed them. Then when Theresa May thought that she might have to go up against Boris Johnson, they produced a war book, which now bits of it have been leaked to the press. So then Boris Johnson is now trying to kill Theresa May with Brexit. Brexit has been used as the knife to carve up anybody that's in your way in the Conservative Party. It's just like, oh, do you not want to? And then the Labour Party just sits back and goes, oh, well, on your bike. And Jeremy Corbyn's just, like, Jeremy Corbyn is the one voice of reason, but it's too late because everyone else is shouting and they've all got the Brexit knife and they're stabbing people. While he's sitting down to a nice tea, everyone else is fighting. And it's not even like he can get there in the middle of everything that's left over because they're fighting amongst each other and they're shouting. But I can't wait to say Boris Johnson is in number 10, and that will happen, and that will. You can already see that it's happening. And Brexit has just been a really weird 2 years, so 18 months so far for me, especially because I was going to be doing some Brexit-related stuff to move to Europe, and now I'm just like, jeez. What have you done, Conservative Party? Spitting Image was around here right now. This would be best spitting image ever. Now, that's we've got one more story in other news, and then I will actually we've got two more stories in other news, which will come without in editorials, and then we'll look at ending the show today. And so, also in other news, people thought we were interns, but we were in charge. And this is a young couple said to own 45% of their $160 million business. Jamie Beaton and Shamday Kushore were seeking investors for the business. And the fact they were already teenagers caused confusion. We'd sit down in boardrooms, everyone would be triple our age. And it's a New Zealand couple, founders and bosses of Crimson Education, which they both launched when they were 18. And it's something that's aimed at high schools around the world. It links them with tutors and mentors to help them to get into the best universities in the US and the UK. When the couple started their business in Auckland in 2013, they were finishing their final year at school. With no money to advertise, they reached out to friends and teachers and put up notices on Facebook to secure their first students and teachers. A year later, Crimson gained its first $1 million in funding, and it started to grow steadily. Fast forward to today, and the company has reportedly secured a total of £37 million in investment, which it values itself at $160 million. Claims that more than 20,000 students around the world now use its network of 2,400 academics and career advisors. And there were 2 of 18 Kiwi students chosen to attend a Model United Nations event in The Hague in the Netherlands. And their first date was at a Starbucks at a train station in Germany while on the trip. And it's just a really, really cute story about 2 people that met at the UN from all around the world, and they now own a very, very successful business, which they are, and it's Crimson won't reveal an exact annual turnover figure. It says it is now in the large 8 figures. Jamie, who is chief executive, and Shamdray, who is the chief operating officer, reported to still own 45% of the business. This makes their stake worth $72 million. Shamdray says that while the rule book says you shouldn't be dating your business partner, for them it works well. It's been the biggest blessing because when you're working with someone every day that you really trust. However, Jamie admits that the couple tried to prevent perception that they might always agree by overcompensating in work meetings. Some of the boldest debates fly in the boardroom between us two, she says. And moving on to our last in other news story, strawberry needle scare, Australia probe as vicious crime widens. Australia has ordered an investigation into the discovery of sewing needles hidden in strawberries and growing alarm over scares across the country. Contaminated punnets have now been reported in 6 states and territories. A minister called it a vicious crime. One man has been taken to hospital after eating a strawberry that held a needle. Several brands have been recalled, while New Zealand's biggest grocers have stopped selling Australian strawberries as a precaution. Australian Health Minister Greg Hunt ordered the Food Safety Authority of Australia and New Zealand to investigate the scare. This is a very vicious crime and it's a general attack on the public, he said. Local authorities are also investigating, but no suspects have been identified. Cases of fruit tampering were first reported in Queensland last week, before spreading to New South Wales, Victoria, the Australian Capital Territory, South Australia and Tasmania. come to Tasmania, here in Tasmania. We need you to put sewing needles in our strawberries. Growers and police have suggested that some cases may be copycat incidents. There you can see a picture. 6 of 8 states and territories have been affected. And they're knitting needles, very small versions of them, that inside the strawberries. The Queensland state government has offered $100,000, £55,000, £72,000, so Australian dollars, $72,000 reward for information. How could any right-minded person want to put a baby or a child or anybody's health at risk by doing such a dreadful act? Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk said on Saturday. On Thursday, the Queensland Strawberry Growers Association said the needles may have been placed by a disgruntled employee. However, police said it was too early to speculate. At least 6 brands have been caught up in the scare: Berry Obsession, Berrylicious, Love Berry, Donnybrook Berries, Delightful Strawberries, and Oasis. Health officials have advised Australians to cut up strawberries before eating them. Growers have expressed concerns that the scare, which has come during the peak of production, would have a negative effect on sales for an industry worth about 130 million Australian dollars a year. Strawberry prices have already dropped around the country, with prices in Western Australia now below the cost of production, ABC News reported over the weekend. On Monday, New Zealand's 2 largest food distributors, Countdown and Foodstuffs, said they had stopped importing Australian strawberries due to the scare. It's really worrying news to have coming from Australia, and for any country to have any kind of food scare associated with anything that they produce. I mean, quick editorial, but back in the mid-90s and late 80s, the BSC, the CJD, let's say CJD, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, yeah, the CJD, CJD, mad cow disease epidemic that happened, where many people within the European community at that point, when the EU wasn't really in existence, really under any kind of, didn't exist as such, people didn't want to take British meat. And there were jokes about mad cow disease. People were dying. There was a very specific image of a politician eating a British beef burger to say, look, I'm totally fine with it. And propaganda and time and money had to be spent to advise people that, no, it's okay to eat our meat. It's okay to eat our meat. And this is something that's going to have to continue on now in strawberry picking. Now, fruit picking is normally done predominantly it will be done by immigrants, predominantly it can be done by backpackers. This is something which has been done intentionally. But I also wonder about a story that we covered last week, a few weeks ago actually, where there were some sellers in Bangladesh who were putting googly eyes in fish to make them look more alive. And I remember thinking, that's crazy. Why would people do that? And then there were stories of people putting nails inside of fish to increase the weight. This seems more like something along those lines, not something necessarily to harm people. And they are big enough to see that you can see them in there. So it's not like they're iron filings or something. These knitting needles are there to be seen. They're to increase the weight. They're to make it so that this weight of strawberry is bigger than the actual weight being produced. And if they're speaking about the cost of production dropping so massively, this is probably the only way to pack them out, because depending on how much they're producing and the economies of scale within that, if they're producing 100 kilo, that's fine. But if they're producing 100 kilo and they can only sell 50, then they're going to have to bulk up that 50 kilo to maybe, cut it with something else to make it a little bit bigger. I don't necessarily know if these have come from up top and it says push a knitting needle in, because where are people getting all these knitting needles from? So I wonder if this is a concerted effort from particular manufacturers up at the top level, and something which is asked of their staff to do, or if you've just got very, very disgruntled employees in a situation where they're not getting paid a lot. And as a straw man argument, and something that I was told, apparently within these fruit picking situations, so this is a straw man argument, and this is an anecdote really, but I was told that if you spoke English, that you actually got paid more than anyone who came over and didn't speak English. So, for example, in Australia, if you were of Chinese descent and you didn't speak any English, you were sent to work with Chinese people. And if that was the case, your pay was reduced, your work rate, your workload was increased. But if you spoke English, you went over to another part of the plant, which was a little bit more fun and a little bit more relaxed, and you just sat there just messing or like just doing stuff on production line. But if you didn't speak English, and so potentially this could be disgruntled people. I'm not saying that they're Chinese, I'm just saying that that's the example that I'm giving you. Straw man arguments. Anyway, I am going to make this actually the last story of the day, as you probably want to watch Neighbours right now, because I don't, but I mean, you might want to. So we're going to leave you with a story which is from my hometown, from Berms. And as I'm in location, right, on location, I thought I'd leave you with this video as the last video from the show. So if I can just get my head, there we go. So this is from BBC News website as well. And this is Birmingham's Brexit concerns. And this is in Berms. I know where that is. John Kay asks voters in Birmingham what they want to know about the UK's plans to leave the European Union. So let's watch this video together.
How confusing is the Brexit process for you?
It hurts my brain cells, it irritates my soul. It's like, it hurts, it really hurts, like on the news.
Do you get it? Do you understand where we are with Brexit?
No.
I really can't get my head around what's going on.
Absolutely no one knows what's happening.
So what's Brexit?
Confusion.
Big question mark.
Tell us the truth. Who's right?
I actually think we should support the Prime Minister. I really do, instead of all of this division.
When are we going to get some transparency so that business can have a sigh of relief and know exactly what's going to happen and when?
I think the biggest question is how do you control it? But again, is it as much of a massive problem as perhaps we think it is?
The ripple effect from this referendum is going to be colossal, I think.
What do you want to know?
How soon can we leave?
I've just got bored of it, to be honest with you. All these terms, soft Brexit, hard Brexit, but there's absolutely no definition of what either one is. I'm ready to just stop reading about Brexit.
You're exiting the debate?
Yes, I'm exiting Brexit.
So that's a video from the BBC in Birmingham, in my hometown of Berms, and as you can see, the questions that are asked in that video are basically questions that a lot of people in the UK are asking, which are, and the massive thing I took from that was that question to that, you know, normal person, normal voter, who they said, what is Brexit? And she just said, confusion. She just said confusion. And then that older lady that asks, who is telling the truth? What does this really mean? Can you be more honest with us? Can you explain this to us? What was most surprising though from that was it did show that the number, and I think maybe because it's the people and the age ranges and the demographics of the people that they got for that particular video, but the older people, except for that one older lady who's like, who's telling the truth? Just tell us what the truth is and then we'll vote for it. What does this all mean? Somebody said, when will we actually leave? Why haven't we left yet? You can see that there are still people there with very, very, very strong, passionate views from the beginning of the Leave campaign who believe a lot of the falsehoods that were presented to them. And so now it's like, yeah, so just tell us the truth. What's really going on? And there were falsehoods presented to us massively, and I don't like the fact that no one is, well, and that's probably why we're in this position where we are right now, but so much information was put out there. Fake news, so much information was put out there, and when will it end? People that are just like, yeah, we're bored of it now, we don't care, soft Brexit, hard Brexit, no one cares anymore, and we care for what this means, but in a lot of people's minds, we've already left the EU. And as I said, likening it to you've already given your notice to a place or to a place or a job, and you're just going through the motions for a little bit, and you're like, there's some people are like, okay, we don't care anymore, we know they're leaving. And I mean, it must be similar within the European community as well, especially because a lot of what's going on now with leave campaigners are like, oh, we can't lose that, oh, we can't lose that. Well, I mean, voting leave basically meant, it was almost like leave for some people was a vote of no confidence for Europe, and I feel like for a lot of UK voters, it was, for a very, very, very small minority of those people, immigration were massive hot button topics, and they still haven't explained that. And all that will happen is immigration and when this will happen and what this will actually mean. A lot of people don't know what this means. It's very interesting to see from Birmingham as well, like, because Birmingham's a very, very melting pot-like city where a lot of people come from around the country. And yeah, I'm just gonna that's it. As I said, today we're coming up to the 50-minute mark, so this little small show that I wanted to do has descended into madness. So I'm gonna look at any of this now with the way that we end all of our shows, with a classy. First of all, we do this classiness, which is, oh, I'll bring you down here. My first classy thing is to say, like, share, subscribe, and if you want to help support the channel in many a way, then you can go to fowloriginal.com and you can help support the channel by going to support the channel. As simple as that. When you get to fowloriginal.com, you'll see a big picture of a bird. That bird is me. And then you can go to support the channel. When you go to support the channel, gives you a few options to support there. I'm going to thin this down actually, but if you go to the donate button and you click donate, then that will take you to a PayPal page where you can do a one-off donation or a monthly donation. Monthly donation you can stop at any time. Just go into PayPal and you can stop that. But if you want to do a one-off donation, do that, $5. It's a cup of coffee if you want, and then you can knock in a hey, I'm Fowl. How you doing? And then I will happily read these things out, as long as non-sexual. Even if they're sexual, I might read them out. And as I've also said, I'm a corporate whore at the moment, so if you want to sponsor the show, feel free to do so. Just look my ways. You can use all the social medias I have, and you can go into fowloriginal.com and find out my email and all that business. And you can also do this via a PayPal login, or you can do it debit or credit card style. But all that money goes to producing more content and stuff like this, Fowl Originals on Location Newsround. Now, taking us back to the first story of the day, which was today's big news story. So, first look at Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in character, and also Marmite moving to the Netherlands causes unhappy UK customers. Ending today's show, we will end it with another classic, and as I thought we're doing this in the daytime today, I'm looking for a classic daytime TV show. So what's more classic, what's more classic than this show? Now, you may not know this show, but this was something that used to come on TV quite a lot with one of my favorite entertainers of all time. Yeah, well, actually, two of my favorite entertainers of all time. It started with Paul Daniels. And then it moved into another guy who I'm very, very happy that it moved to this guy. This guy has been a man after my own heart for a long, long time. And the TV show is this TV show, and I will end you with this. So let me just get it. Joaquin. Obviously, as I said, I've got this has been a great just to quickly say before we do, actually, it's been a great weekend here trying to do Fowl Original on location. Thank you to everyone at the Birmingham Film Festival for making me feel so welcome. Thank you to Vicky Haskins for being awesome. Thank you to Jack Sexsmith for being awesome. Thank you to Chuck Mambo for, I knew it was awesome anyway. Thanks to Kid Cupid for also being awesome. Thank you to Danny Mac, Ray Zombie. I kept calling you Roy Zombie because I think it's Stacey Ray. Thank you to Dale Bowman Brown putting it down. Thank you to Adam. I'm sorry about it. I've watched your video now, your video about Flash Morgan Webster and his rise back. It was really good, and I'll be reviewing it on the Weekly Wrestling Recap, which you can check out on the other Fowl Original channel, which is Fowl Original Wrestling channel. But I leave you with this, which is one of my favorite. If I can get it going. and it's this. I wonder if I'll get copyright claim for this. Oh, we can get it going. Oh, I'm not even anywhere near it. Let's take it to here. Actually, would I get copyright claim for this? I wonder. Let's take it to. Oh, and this man, as I said, is a man after my own heart. So let's take it to here. Here we go. So, as I said, if I could end my life like this, yeah, at all times, I'll be happy. Actually, I'll leave you with the whole thing because I feel like it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. So, as I said, this is a TV show called Wipeout, which starred Bob Monkhouse, one of my favorite men of all time. Where it's gonna let you watch the clip, and then I'll talk over it.
And we haven't used half a minute yet.
I wanted to say thank you to everyone for everything that's been going on this weekend. It's been really, really helpful. Thank you to the folks who put me up as well.
And we have 25 seconds left for the yellow six.
Yeah, doing God's work.
Well done, Adrian. Well
doing
done.
God's work, yeah. And you can help support the channel. Go to fowloriginal.com/support. If you like Bob Monkhouse, yeah. R.I.P. Bob Monkhouse.
Foreign parts. I wish you a wonderful holiday, and I hope you spend all
the
300
big Monkhouse in the skull. Anyway, I don't want to talk over his jokes because he's very, very good. So let's listen.
That's great. Hey, listen, you can't stop the big waves, but you can learn to surf. Yeah, that wipes me out. Till next time.
That wipes me out. Thank you, Bob Monkhouse. So, this has been Fowl Original. Thanks for watching next time. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, take friends, take your mom. And if you have been entertained, are you not entertained? Then go to fowloriginal.com/support and you can put the donate button and help me out in many ways that you wouldn't have. But Fowl Original's Newsround on locations are over now. We'll be back in Fowl Original Bureau tomorrow night. We've been Fowl Original. Thanks for watching next time. Bye.